Loktark, our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Dynamic Effort Bench Press Day. Made some adjustments and changes slightly, which we will be discussing here. But just a quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos every day, please remember to click like down below. Help me keep the likes higher than the dislikes. It would be greatly appreciated. Not that I really care that much at this point. It doesn't even matter. But over to the benching. As I said before, I'm going to be working with 50% and not run pendulum waves, and 25% or slightly more on the accommodating resistance. I'm going to be using the pad so I can work on getting more and more speed, not worrying about hurting my chest or anything. Now, one of the things that I noted, these really wide grips, because I'm doing 3 sets of wide, medium, and then close grip. As I've been noting, the wide grip on things like the floor press feels phenomenal as far as just chest activation and overall muscle recruitment. So I'm going to keep doing that. But my speed work, I definitely struggle to get any bar speed with the wide grip. So I think what I need to do is basically do medium, close, and then even closer. So I'm probably going to, next time, instead of putting like my index finger or anything on the ring like here, I'm going to maybe start with my pinkies on the edge of the rings, bring it into a medium grip further in, which would really be a close grip by some standards for the next 3, and then do a true close grip on the last 3. And I'll go ahead and set the J-hooks a notch higher. It'll be easier to get all that into place that way. Because I noticed as I went, I get faster and faster and faster. Now, when we're doing our different modalities, when we're talking about max effort work, speed work, rep work, what are our goals for most of this stuff? Right, the max effort work needs to be true 1 rep maxes. We need to get into a position to where we can lift the heaviest weight possible. Okay, heaviest weight possible. Now on all the lower body stuff, I'm trying to do really, really wide grip for the speed squat so that we can build the wide stance. But in the case of the close grip here, the close grip is just much, much faster for my speed bench. My close grip bench builds my wide grip bench to some extent. And if we can get more speed and more acceleration going closer, that's what I need to do. I mean, even the West Side guys tend to do a lot of close grip for this. All right, so in my case, I'm going to start with a medium grip and then get closer and closer as I go. I think moving forward, I think that's going to give me what I want. Now, some people say, well, what about the potential chest development and everything else? Well, that's what the floor pressing is for. This is to develop my speed. It's for me to practice setting up, practice getting tight, working on the speed strength aspect. I don't start getting fast till I get near the end. And yes, I know this needs to be faster. I'm working on it. I've never been particularly great at speed benching, and I've never been fast and explosive on my benching. We know that, which is why we have to work on it. But what I will note is that as I got into this, especially when I got more speed and then running a lot of chain, because actually I went with a hair under 50%, it's like 5 pounds less. But then I've got a lot of chain on there, so I just made up the gap with more chain. Right? I'm running a pretty hefty amount of chain on there. I think it's around 91 pounds. I'd need to double check it. I think that's what it is. I'll check it later. About 91 pounds of chain. So it's a hair over 25%. It's not just 25%. And that's good because I want that extra deceleration at the lockout. I want to have to drive through that. And I really felt fair amount of tricep finally. I don't really feel triceps on this. I felt a lot of pec, a lot of tricep, but it's also I get some pain from the speed bench a little bit when I go on the wider sets. So that probably limits my speed. It's probably my body saying, hey, this is putting the tendon at a bit more of a stretch than we want for explosiveness. We have to be careful. So it might be putting on the brakes. My nervous system could be. So that's okay if we do the speed bench then a little closer, because I am more explosive that way. Even when I max, I'm more explosive with a closer grip. But we need that wide grip from a leverage perspective. And I'm going to keep doing a lot of my stuff wide. And it doesn't matter if I turn out to be stronger with a closer grip, then that's what I'll bench with later. But I feel like for the max work, because we have the most max potential with the wide grip, that's what I'm going to use. The only problem I run into is I'm weak on lockouts. But we've been working on the triceps. We're working on it a lot. And what I will note, I did the wide grip floor press today. We just started doing this again the other day, so this is the second workout, so I went up another 5 pounds. I have to admit, doing these really wide, I felt my chest phenomenally well. And to be fair, as I got deeper into the sets, I started feeling my triceps really, really effectively again. This is an intense amount of muscle being used in my pecs, especially with the wide grip. This is a phenomenal pec builder. If I were to go just based on activation, and that's what we need to think of. Our hypertrophy work like this is for what purpose? It's to stack muscle on. Now, some of it we can have carryover. Some of this stuff I do some cheating and everything else. But a lot of these movements, particularly for weaker areas in my upper body, just like I've done with my lower body, it's the reason my lower body is stacked. Reason I'm better at squatting and deadlifting than I am at benching. Right? I know how to find all those angles to work all those muscles maximally. So we've got to apply that more and more. And so things like this floor press, if I feel a far deeper burn in things like the pecs, with the wide grip, I need to do the wide grip. The beauty of the floor press is that it has a great stimulus to fatigue ratio, right? So I'm not worried about that. And I'm not worried about shoulder issues. What's our big concern with repping with shoulders, with wide grip? The range of motion. But I'm limited. I can't get that last inch. And I'm not exploding a heavyweight right off the chest because I can't use leg drive. Okay, we have to use the pec to get it moving, and it limits our shoulder angle to 90 degrees. And notice I tuck a lot at the bottom. I tuck and then flare, tuck and then flare. But even there, look at how much chest pump I had right there getting up from that, from the side. I got a ridiculous chest pump. Got a ridiculous chest pump. And by the way, again, I want to note for people who are like, you are looking bigger. Well, keep in mind, guys, I'm slow cutting. I'm actually back up a pound this week because I had a big swoosh or a whoosh the other week. I dropped 3 pounds instead of 1. I was only supposed to drop a pound a week, was only my goal, other than my little diet breaks and my deload weeks. And I dropped like 3 pounds. So I've regained one of those 3, but I'm still on schedule. So it'll just be a gradual downward trend. But as I'm losing body fat and retaining muscle or making any gains, I'm going to look bigger and bigger. Right? I mean, when I lose another 10 pounds of fat, people are going to be like, oh my God, you gained 20 pounds of muscle. No, I didn't. You don't lose 10 pounds of body weight while gaining 20 pounds of muscle. Okay? So for people who are like, well, you look bigger, I've lost 7 pounds. It's just been all fat loss. And as I lose another 10, you know, you can extrapolate that out. A gallon of fat weighs about 7 pounds. 10 pounds of fat's about 1.5 gallons of fat. It'd be pretty noticeable. Now, we did the same thing with the standing press. Now, the axle bar is a little bit awkward. I'm trying to get my exact elbow positions on some of these. I flared a little more than we would want. And it's because I didn't go quite as wide as I could have, like I think on the final set. But this really wide grip. All right, what's the difference? I feel a lot more musculature involved. When I do the really narrow press, it really does turn it into, a tricep movement and a front delt movement. When I'm doing it wide like this, I feel my upper chest, right, all the way up into the middle, like my whole clavicle area. I feel my side delts, right? When side delts are a lagging area for me, I really feel the side delt tremendously with this wide grip. And it's comfortable. It feels like a more natural movement for me than a really close grip, which I've hit some pretty big numbers on for maxes. But what are we doing here? We're building muscle. If I need to build all this musculature up to improve my weak links for my strength, I need to pick the angles that let me work the most muscle mass. And if this lets me use more chest, especially more side delt, so more shoulder girdle in general instead of just the front delt, that's what we want. Okay, that's what we want. And so what? We could argue about whether it's hitting more or less tricep. That's a big debate when we go to this wider grip. I don't know. There's a lot of biomechanics debate. Doesn't matter because I beat my triceps up after anyways. And I'm doing band work for triceps on my off days. So I'm working the hell out of my triceps like the weak link that they are. Okay? But this left my side delt so fatigued that I struggled with my upright rows later. But I also got all my reps. What did I do with this last time? I was getting like 7. Got like 9, 7, and 7. Today, even though we pushed the floor press up heavier, I got 10, 10, 10. Okay, so I can start loading this up heavier. I can start micro loading it up. All right, we're going to do a 3-week wave. It's like with this other stuff, then we'll switch bars. Okay? 3-week waves and then switch bars. And if I have to, some of the floor pressing, I can swap bars around. I can add chains. I can do whatever I need to do to keep getting rotating floor pressing in. Overhead pressing, I've got 3 different bars. You know, the same thing with these JM presses. I can add chains. I can add bands, reverse bands, whatever I need to do. But these were tough today. My triceps were more lit up than usual. So these sets of 10 were very, very difficult. And again, they just crushed my triceps. Crushed my triceps. And people can argue all day long if they don't like the way I do these. That's fine. I don't care. I feel the medial head of my tricep. Feels like it's being hit with a hammer. And I don't feel any joint pain. So I would argue from a muscle building perspective, if it's working the muscle that I want it to work and I get a deep, intense burn and none of my joints are hurting, then I don't particularly care about your opinion of the way I perform the exercise. Plus, I'm doing more tricep work as well, right? My band work is its own full range of motion stuff, and I do at least 10 sets of that every week right now, spread throughout the week, right? 9-10 sets. So I am treating my triceps like a weak link still, but I want a lot of tension on this movement, right? I want a lot of tension on this movement, and it is a multi-joint exercise. It's intended to be. But it really, the primary mover is going to be the tricep, and it's going to work the tricep in the same way we work it on the bench. So it should continue to help bring my bench up. And we'll push it for PRs. I mean, I'm struggling right now, but I also added a fractional plate. I forgot. I'm like, this felt really hard. Oh, yeah, I went up 2.5 pounds. I threw the little micro plates on. We went up slightly. So, of course, it's going to be hard, especially after my triceps are beat up. So, you know what? I'll try to progress on this for the 3 weeks also. And if it stalls, we'll add chains. Okay, we'll add chains. Might even mess with the football bar. Now, that might be fun, doing these with the football bar. Probably work on my forearms even more. So not the football bar, the axle bar. Just like we're going to floor press with the axle bar and the football bar. We're going to overhead press with all these bars. But these are going to be my mainstays. It's going to be wide grip floor press, wide grip standing press, JM presses. These are going to be, and their variations, these are going to be staple movements for me for a while. And then I'll do other band work for triceps, and we do all this other stuff to build my shoulders and biceps. Okay. And of course we have the speed benching. There we go. You can see I do look a little bit bigger slowly. Then these were tough today. They were hard to kind of get into position. 10s were hard today. What I've noticed is because I'm doing so much grip work that the axle bar is really hard to grip. It's almost becoming a limiting factor now as I'm getting more and more elevated. These were hard 10 rep sets, even with chalk. But it's because I'm doing farmer's walks every off day. So people are like, you do conditioning, you do GPP. Yeah, I do farmer's walks. I have farmer's walks handles. I do them 3 times a week. Usually first thing in the morning, early in the morning on my off days. Okay, along with all my reverse hypers for lightweight and everything, all that restoration work, ab work, rear delt work, rotator cuff work. Stuff we're doing it pretty frequently. But that's all my restoration and prehab stuff. We don't need it on camera. It's not my main training. If I tell you guys I do it, you know I'm doing it. It's just like I used to film all the GPP, so you guys know that I was doing it before. We don't need that now. I don't really care if people believe me. You're seeing my 4 main workouts. You see what I do. If you don't believe I do extra band work or abs or whatever else, I just don't have time for your stupidity. You can die. Go away. Over to the rest of the shoulder work. These were hard because my side delts were still kind of fatigued from the wide grip pressing. And I'm doing these wide too. I'm doing all this stuff wide. I just feel like overall I'm getting better muscle activation on a lot of these movements going really wide. The exception might be like my speed benching. But it's only because we don't get enough speed. It's not that muscle's not being worked. So yeah, a lot of these movements we're just going wide. And I don't know. I think it's working. It's giving me the activation I want on most of this stuff. But, not going to lie, these were tough. Also, I kind of laugh. I've actually had clowns like, oh my God, you got stained. That's chalk. These are brand new shorts. It just came out of the clean laundry. Yes, this is what they look like halfway into a workout. It's called chalk. I don't eat or anything else wearing any of these shorts. I don't think people realize that. The only purpose of my running shorts, I have 4 pairs. I wear them to work out in. That's it. That's the only purpose they serve. Just so that I am covered for nudity purposes. And plus, and you guys can see where everything is at. You can see how I change, gain fat, lose fat, gain muscle. Everything is all in the open. It's all transparent. And the beauty of it is, see, I don't care. That actually came up with Ian McCarthy and I were chatting. He was laughing about that. He's like, yeah, I kind of respect the fact that you do that and you just don't care. It's like, I really don't. And the clowns who make fun of it, you guys need to understand, I'm probably more secure than you are. Because I'm doing this every day. In spite of the fact that you guys talk smack or whatever, it's like I still do it. That should tell you something. You should probably move on and get a life. But you guys can see changes as they go. It's all there. It's all transparent. Everything's done with calibrated plates. You guys see what I look like. Not that I care about the physique thing. But everything's documented. Curls were harder today, though, but I've realized I need more and more tension on my biceps. I went up in weight just slightly, went up to the bigger plates on this, and these were tough. I can only get 8. But that's the thing I've noticed. My biceps do seem to be responding a little better now that I'm doing heavier and heavier weights. And we don't need a lot of curls. We just need to get some really good tension on the bicep. But I'm doing tons and tons of back rowing and stuff, and eventually I'm going to work the pull-ups back in. But we need some curls, 3 good sets to failure twice a week on my upper body days just to get a little bit, and it'll help me with my pulling. All right. I'll never have great biceps because of, 1, I don't have great bicep genetics. Number 2, part of one of my biceps has been cut out physically by a doctor. It has been surgically removed. It doesn't grow back. It's not how muscle fibers work. So who cares? But I need them to be strong. I need them to be strong for my other lifts. So we do what we can. And at this point, I'm going to do more and more tension. I mean, 8 was a little lower than I wanted to go, but it just turned out when I did the weight increase, that's about all I can handle. But I'm going to stick with that weight. I'm going to see if I can get to sets of 10 with that weight. Why not? And it'll make me stronger for when I start trying to work the pull-ups back in, when I find the exact shoulder angles with the rings and stuff I can get away with. It doesn't inflame my shoulders. Because I do want to get that movement pattern back in. I do think it's important that we do train our basic movement patterns as an athlete. And there's 7 basic movement patterns, and I'm only training 6 of those 7 right now. And from a muscle balance perspective and athletic perspective, that's probably not ideal. So I do need to work on it, and I will work on it. But it was a good workout today, so I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.